We all know the movie version of security. The agents, the high-risk missions, the dramatic moments. But real protection starts long before the action. It's the preparation, the discipline, the judgment. The quiet decisions most people never see. Welcome to Risk Readiness, a podcast from Draco Group, hosted by Ariel and Celia Cortez. Each episode pulls back the curtain on the protection world, how professionals think, prepare, stay calm under pressure, and manage risk before everyone else sees it. This isn't a secret. It's a mindset for leaders, organizations, families, and anyone responsible for keeping people safe. I will never forget the time that you got that call about getting to the Congo. Can you tell us?
Yeah, I remember that too. So funny example. I guess I don't know if it comes into the realm of security as much as it does logistics, but I think the two are really difficult to separate because,
That's right.
As much as people, like I've said before, we love to focus on tactics because tactics are cool. They're sexy. I get to feel good when I hold a gun and I got like my muscles like, but the best way to be successful is to have a really solid handle on logistics. So somebody calls us, a client calls us at 5 p.m. our time, his time. He's off of work. He's like, what did I forget to do? Oh, I remember. Hey, Ariel, I need somebody to pick me up at the airport tomorrow morning in Kinshasa, Congo. So for our listeners, there are two Congos. One of them is DRC and the other one is Congo Brazzaville. So first of all, just knowing that is important. But so this guy says, I'm like, wait, which Congo are you going to? He's like, yeah, I got a meeting in Kinshasa. Okay, great, Kinshasa. I need somebody to pick me up at the airport at 6 a.m. And meanwhile, my mind is like, it's 5 p.m. here. That means it's midnight in the Congo. Okay, great. So he needs someone to pick him up 6 hours from now or whatever. So what did we do? Well, I used my superpower.
That's right.
And I picked up my phone and I called my boys in the Congo. And I was like, hey, man, first of all, think about what that means, that you have people that you can rely on who care about you and like you enough and trust you enough that they're going to answer your call at the middle of the night.
That's right.
And, the client shows up in the Congo, a car's waiting for him with a team of prepared, capable, trained, handsome men. And he doesn't ever have to think about all that went into that. Because, guys, getting the gas in the car and, getting a car that can be there with the right people on time, that is no small feat, especially when you start at midnight.
That's right.
But we did it.
We did. So there were a ton of logistics that had to go into that. And the logistics came from the relationships that we had on the ground. So from the very first initial phone call that we made to the team that he had to rally, he had to have his relationship with his team that was like, yes, sir, I'm willing to get myself up in 4 hours and get ready to pick your guy up. So it goes to show that in the security industry, when you're dealing with executives, that you really have to be prepared for last minute stuff. You have to have the resources and the people around you that are willing to jump in and be there for you and get those things done.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that in anything we're doing in life, we're able to do more if we have good relationships. So again, it's not just tactics that solve the problem, but it's also understanding that that I alone am not the solution. That the solution is from the quality of people that we're able to put out in the field, the quality of the values that we're able to identify in people, that we're able to articulate, that we're able to disseminate throughout the system, so that we know that when a client has a Draco Group person with them, that represents something that is unique and that you're going to find with every one of our guys. And having those relationships all around the world is not a trivial thing at all. To know, I mean, like I said, I joke about it, but it's like Not everybody can mention a country in the world, and the person that they're talking to immediately has a picture in their mind of like, oh, I know what the airport looks like in Kinshasa, Congo. I know exactly where you're going, and I know where you need to not go, and I know where you need to go.
That's right.
So having those relationships and knowing also that like we've got a team there who immediately can pick you up, and they have the resources and the abilities to keep you safe.
That's right. To get you where you need to go
Yeah.
safely to your meeting, on time, looking polished. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I think it also actually goes back to one of our core values. Our core values are, I always look at these companies who I become interested in like philosophy the older I get, I guess, because I think that everything, all success and failure stems from core values and how you operate in your life. And so, I look at some companies' core values, and everybody wants to say like, oh, integrity. We have integrity.
What does that mean?
Honesty, service. Like, that's really nice. That sounds cool. Everybody wants to say they have integrity, but what does that mean? So our core values are written a little bit different, right? It's our first core value is zero doubt. So zero doubt. Think about what that means, right? It's like, it's not good enough to just do the right thing. It's not good enough to just be good at your job. You have to be so good at your job that there is zero doubt. And so knowing that overseas, I can call a guy and be like, hey man, I need you to pick this guy up at the airport. And I can trust that guy with my eyes closed because I have zero doubt in his abilities and his integrity and his capability to go beyond what needs to be done. There has to be zero doubt.
That's right.
And that's what people can trust when they hire us.
That's exactly right. Zero doubt goes a long way.
Yeah, and if we have a doubt, it also gives us a position to fire people from, right? Like a guy can tell us, I mean, listen, I'll lose friends over this because if somebody says like, what do you mean? I didn't do the wrong thing. And I'm like, yeah, but I can't tell. If I can't tell, and if the client can't tell, then there's doubt. And that's too much. If there's doubt, there's no doubt.
It's a little slogan that we've leaned on with the company, right? If there's doubt, there's no doubt. Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, so like the question arises, where do you get your values from as you get more experienced in life? I think that a lot of those things are crystallized for us through experiences that we've had. A lot of times the experiences that we've had may be from a negative perspective. I remember the one time I got pinned wrestling. I had a great wrestling career in high school, but like I got pinned once. And that's the match I remember the best.
Sure.
It's the one that I learned the most from.
Absolutely.
So where did zero doubt come from? I think about a few instances in my life that obviously from the military, we, people's lives are on the line. And if you have guys who are not pulling their weight, or it's not enough to just do the job right. You got to do the job so well that there's no doubt. And if you see something that might be a problem, you see something that might be an explosive device, you don't have the luxury of being like, well, I don't know, I'm only like 5% sure that that's a thing that's going to kill me. Mm-hmm. So, you need zero doubt. So, in the private side, I remember being on a cruise ship in the Gulf of Aden. Around the Horn of Africa, there's always been problems around that. I mean, I think you could probably look historically. Back in Roman times.
No, not going back to Roman times. Not this episode.
So it's still a pretty risky area. But at this time period, there was a lot of talk about Somali pirates. Not just talk. I mean, there were statistics to back it up that ships were being taken. In fact, while I was there in the Gulf of Aden, the Maersk Alabama was taken over by pirates.
Same time.
So yeah, we were there when they were taken. So here I am on a 6-star cruise ship, really fancy ship. I had the good job, like some guys are on security on a ship that's got oil or something, or manure. Who knows?
Something undesirable.
Yeah, right. But I got to be on a cruise ship. And one of the things that we're doing, obviously, is trying to make sure that pirates cannot commandeer this vessel. Well, in order to do that, people are going to tell you, again, we're kind of like exposing the realities of the security industry. Guys are going to love to be like, oh, yeah, I work security on like vessels out in the ocean, and it's like I'm the toughest guy in the world because I'm like a Navy SEAL on a cruise ship with someone making my bed and
cooking my
meals, all like the fanciest food you can possibly have. And let's not forget, so a cruise ship, or really any of these vessels out there, it's like a floating city.
Mm-hmm.
The pirates, now a cruise ship also is luxurious because the lowest freeboard is really close to the water, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's really far from the water. So like if it's very close to the water, you have more of an ability for a pirate to climb on board. But here's the thing that most people forget. So the curvature of the earth allows you in the ocean to see approximately 7 miles.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're standing in the bridge, right, the control point of a cruise ship, you can see you're pretty high up. The lowest freeboard, right, the lowest area of the ship that's accessible from the water is like 3 stories up from the water. It's almost impossible for guys to get on a cruise ship if they're in like a little canoe with a little, So I know that we would all love to say that like I'm so awesome because I was security out in the Gulf of Aden. But the truth is I could stand on the bridge and I could look out 7 miles. And if it's bad weather, so maybe I could see less, but if it's bad weather, I'm in a cruise ship.
That's right.
And these guys are in like little canoes. So it's very unlikely that they're going to be able to get up to your cruise ship. Probably somebody listening to this is going to be like, nah, it's super dangerous. But like, okay, so here I am in the bridge thinking about like, man, I can see 7 miles. If I see a guy, a group of them in their little skiffs driving, toward my big vessel, I could sit here and finish my cup of coffee. I can be like, hey guys, there's 3 skiffs that are on their way, and in the next 20 minutes that we have to prepare, like, come on, it's one of the best jobs I ever had for getting paid what I was getting paid. So meanwhile, standing in the bridge, our job is to take care of this ship. I noticed that keep in mind, right, this is a vessel that's got a lot of people on it.
Tourists, travelers.
Yeah, travelers. These are people. Now, the most beautiful women were, there were beautiful women on the ship.
Of course.
I realized I like beautiful women.
And so do all the other security guys on the boat.
Yeah. Now, the beautiful women who work on the ship, those were the most beautiful women, right? The ones who were part of the staff.
Sure.
They would put on their bikinis and they would sunbathe on the bow of the vessel.
Away from regular guests.
Right, so this was a closed-off area just for the employees.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're standing on the bridge and you got your sunglasses on and you're looking for pirates. So if you stand a little closer, you could be like,
and look down.
Look at all the ladies in their bikinis.
Mm-hmm.
So being in charge of the security team, I realized, I was like, wait a second. I know that I like beautiful women, and that I would be enticed to look at the ladies in bikinis, especially knowing that, like, man, it's fine. Within the next 20 minutes, even if I see a bad guy, I could still look at the ladies in bikinis and have plenty of time to take care of. Okay, but here's the problem. Because the captain of the ship is my client.
Yes.
Right? The crew is my client.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to happen if the captain walks into the bridge and sees me standing there? Forget about the fact that, like, I'm going to pretend I'm not looking at the ladies in bikinis.
Mm-hmm.
What if he just has a doubt?
That's right.
So I took a piece of tape because I was aware of my own
Thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Right? I took a piece of tape. I put a piece of tape across the floor in the bridge. It's against the rules for any of my guys to take one step past that tape. Because if you're behind that tape, you can't see the beautiful ladies in bikinis.
That's right. You can still see out. You can't see down.
That's right. So you can still see out. You can see 7 miles all the way around. You can't see the ladies on the bow of the ship.
And no one can question what you can see because they
That's
can
it.
stand at that point themselves.
That's it.
And that is where zero doubt comes from. They're going to see, oh, the security
Mm-hmm.
guys never cross this line. I have zero doubt that they're looking at what they're supposed to be looking at and
That's
not the
right.
beautiful ladies.
That's right. So it's a funny story.
That's
It's not
a great
about life
one.
and death, but it is about taking care of your client to a level that like you don't even want them to have a doubt that you're doing the job right.
Yes, having them have zero doubt in us and our abilities is what got us to where we are.
Yeah.
And then we can apply that to any area of life, right? Everybody can say, okay, I want people to have zero doubt about me, whether it be a student having his teacher have zero doubt about him,
Right.
or, from a client situation or anything. It can be applied across the board.
100%. I think to take it to another level even, it's like all of us have to be aware that we have internal desires, and that professionalism really comes from our ability to be self-disciplined. So part of what that story I think indicates also is that like if you want to be a professional in whatever industry you're in, I think you have to be highly aware of where there are places that you're going to have some base desire, and it's not a bad thing, right? Like, it's not a bad thing that I appreciate a beautiful woman. Mm-hmm. It is a bad thing if I let that control my life
And take you away from your duties.
Take me away from the mission, right? So I have to be clear about the mission. I have to have self-discipline. I have to have a beautiful wife that, I can, everything can be in its place and in its time. But if I allow those desires, if I allow myself to be like, oh, it's fine, I'm still doing the job, it's fine. Those places where we allow ourselves to be less professional are the places where we're going to fall.
That's right. And that actually leads us into our next value, IQ, EQ, GQ.
Yeah.
The EQ component of that, right? The emotional intelligence that comes from being able to know that and recognize that within yourself, within your own team. I think that goes a long way as well.
100%. These things all overlap in many ways, but, IQ being like, okay, so we look for people who are intelligent.
Yes.
I prefer to hang out with people who are intelligent.
Of course.
I think also when there's a big problem, you'd rather turn to somebody and be like, yes, I know that you're going to be able to think through this. And then the EQ part, right? So IQ, EQ, GQ.
I got to explain. I got to pause GQ on that because we use a lot of terms. I guess we're old by the sense of it because we have a lot of people that are like GQ.
Thank God.
That's right. Thank God. GQ, Gentlemen's Quarterly. I keep saying to people, what do you mean you don't know what GQ means? Like, you have to look GQ.
But right. We're just going to educate these youngsters.
That's right. We're going to teach these youngsters what it means to look GQ. But looking good, right? Looking good while you're doing your job, while you're focused on the mission.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to look the part. People need to look at you and know they need to have zero doubt.
That's right.
Part of how they have zero doubt is by looking and being like, whoa, that guy looks like he's doing the job right. Mm-hmm. She looks like she's dressed right. Mm-hmm. So you got to look good. You got to be smart, and you got to know when it's time to shut up.
That's right.
When it's time to talk. When it's time to stand behind that line.
That's
and when
right.
it's time that you can go forward.
Exactly. So that can lead us right into our next value of lead and follow. We talk about the importance of knowing when to lead and knowing when to follow and when which is appropriate, because not all situations need a leader. They need one leader. You can't have 50 of them. Mm-hmm. So having that distinction between when it's time to lead and when it's time to follow and how to do that best is very meaningful.
And also certainly, even if you're in a leadership position, to know when it's time to follow somebody else's advice, like to be able to listen to someone who may not be at the same level as you in the seat that you sit in of leadership, right? It's one of the things that I talk to people about a lot. It's like you have to always ask yourself the question: is the leadership or the respect that I have from other people, is it because of who I am actually, or is it because of the seat that I'm sitting in? So stand up and look at your chair and like recognize, are people respecting me because of my seat? And I think a lot of people fall on that. But, you know, going back to lead and follow, it's like, okay, so you're in a control position. You're in a leadership position. Somebody who's got less experience than you might have a really great idea. You should listen. Now, you still have to take responsibility as the leader, and the person who's giving you the idea may think that this is the most genius idea ever and you've never thought of it ever, and man, I'm amazing.
Yes.
And so they also need to know when it's time to listen to the leader who may say, I heard you, we're not going to do that. And the leader, by the same token, needs to be able to say, I heard you, that's a great idea.
Yes.
So, you know, here's the other piece of it that I think is really important. We talk about lead and follow. We also need to sometimes take somebody by the hand and lead them to where they need to go, or like at least lead them through the potential problems. So, I mean, if you take we had an incident at a school where we had to bring a canine in. In fact, the school asked us to bring in a canine,
Yes.
right? And one of the things that we learned is that we didn't properly lead them to the conclusion that was kind of obvious to us. In other words, the canine comes in. Canines often are scary-looking animals.
Yeah, they're dogs. They're well-trained dogs.
Right.
And dogs have certain characteristics.
Yeah. So the dog comes into school, and at some point the dog barked.
Because that's what dogs sometimes do.
Yeah, sometimes dogs bark. So the dog barked. A kid or a couple kids maybe got afraid. I think that the teachers were more sensitive probably than they needed to be. Maybe.
Yes.
So they were very upset because they felt like this would be something that would scare the children. And I realized from that like, you know what? Lead and follow is not just about me leading something or me following somebody. It's also about leading the client or my friend or somebody in my life to understand what they should expect from this instance.
Mm-hmm.
You want to bring a canine in? I just want you to know that like a canine, remember, a canine is a dog. It's a very well-trained dog, but the dog may bark. I don't want you to be afraid if the dog barks.
Yes, he's well-trained.
No.
He's not going to attack anyone.
Mm-hmm.
He's the same dog that allows children to lay on his back and read books. So giving them that information ahead of time, leading
Right.
them to help them understand exactly the details of what could happen.
Right.
And it's hard to lay out for everyone every possible thing that could happen,
sure.
but at least giving them that little extra something.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, a dog will be here. Maybe some kids are afraid of dogs. Maybe we'll keep the kids away.
Right.
And that definitely would have helped in that
100%.
particular case.
Yeah.
For the teacher to be less sensitive. And
Mm-hmm.
that's my guess is maybe one kid was like, ooh, and the teacher got more afraid for the kid than necessary.
Yep, probably so. Well, and then, you know, you can take it into the executive protection world where, I mean, if you're on an overseas detail, you're in a place where it's a developing country, you may be on, there's all kinds of things that can go wrong. It's very helpful to be able to walk a client through the different things that might go wrong.
Yes.
I mean, going back to the situation in Venezuela, I think that it's really important to talk to the guys about the clients, right? About how like, hey, we need to get you from the hotel to the airstrip.
Yes.
These are the potential things that you're going to see along the way. These are the potential problems you're going to see along the way. These are some of our concerns and what we're doing to control that risk, because we need you to understand what it is that we're dealing with. Again, like what's important for them to know so they don't freak out. What if we do get in trouble? Imagine what could happen if you haven't walked the client through some of these problems and the client and a crowd of people starts yelling and screaming, you're stuck in traffic and
People are banging on windows.
and now the client gets out of the car and runs.
Exactly.
Because he's afraid and he's just operating out of fear rather than intellect.
Absolutely.
So that could be catastrophic.
Absolutely. By giving them that explanation ahead of time.
Yeah.
Let them know what's coming. No surprises.
Yeah.
That leads us back to them having zero doubt in us and our capabilities and how we can protect them.
Right. Clearly, our values are something that guide us as a company. They are characteristics that we've identified that really guide us in our lives. And, it guides us in being parents. It guides us in being individuals. I know the kind of person that I want to be, and these are values that I identify in myself that, like, yeah, I want to have zero doubt in my own, in myself. And that's tough, right? I mean, I think it's natural. We're always going to have a doubt in ourselves. In fact, we should. If I didn't have a doubt in myself, probably I'm not a healthy person.
Sure.
But as much as I can act in a way that gives you zero doubt in me, then the closer I get to being like, yes, this is the kind of person that I want to be.
Absolutely. So we share these values because we know that it's important. It's been an integral part of our business. We've really developed them over the last few years, and we see how they can really shift behaviors. So we share them to encourage people to have their own personal values and their own business values, and to utilize them every day to guide them through their decisions that they make in life, and how they communicate with people, and how they hire people onto their teams, how you make decisions. If you have your values.
Or how you also choose a company that you want to work for.
Exactly.
What kind of values does this company really have?
And do they exhibit those values, or are they just pretty words on paper?
Right.
So understanding values and the value that they bring to relationships and deals and anything that you have to interact with is super important. So identify those values. Know what they are for yourself and what you're looking for out of others.
Absolutely. I would like to add to that.
Sure.
That having those values crystallized also takes arguments to a higher level, to a better level.
Tell us what you
Where
mean.
it's like, what I mean by that is, I think that it's easy for somebody to do something that you don't like. And then you can fall into an emotional trap of like, I don't like that. But if you can identify that, like, it's not that I don't like that. It's more than that. It's that you are exhibiting a failure in things that I consider valuable in life. That's what I don't like. I don't like that I have doubt in you now. I don't like that I feel like I can't trust you. I don't like that something happened here. You failed my expectations because you didn't lead me to understand what it was that I should be expecting. So that's, if I can identify what value has been breached, then I can have a whole different level of conversation about what's gone on.
Absolutely.
And maybe it's repairable, maybe it's not. But certainly the conversation is not just about people yelling at each other. It's about, like, this is the problem that I have.
Being able to really pinpoint it, identify it for them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we'll leave them with that. Think about your own personal values.
Right.
What matters to you, what matters with the people that you're interacting with. Take the day. Think about your own values.
Yeah. I don't think that you can be highly professional in this industry without having, like, very clear, very crystallized values.
Absolutely. So we'll leave it at that. Thank you all so much for listening, and we very much look forward to having you along on this journey with us.
Absolutely. It's exciting.